the Frank Reich situation following that game, I have to admit, I'm in a bit of a pickle, a conundrum. He's a riddle for me right now.
Okay.
And there's really no solution because I stand by what I said on Friday, which is, for those of you that weren't listening, I don't think you can realistically fire Frank Reich without creating a catastrophe of a different kind for yourself, which is you then have someone coming in without any resources to make the team their own, and the guy who was a part of assembling the roster the way it is out the door. But then you watch that game on Sunday, and you realize the product on the field is
gross.
One way to put it, like a fireable offense.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the conundrum, right? That's the rock in a hard place. That's the riddle is Frank Reich was in the room, and I hope he was listened to. I hope his opinion was taken into account. Frank Reich was in the room that made the decision to trade up to number 1. He was in the room that made the decision to draft Bryce Young. And part of me believes that just by his presence in those rooms and his opinions being taken into account means that David Tepper should believe in him, or should have believed in him at that point, enough to stare down the angry mobs and keep him as your coach. How do you go from somebody that you are trusting to make decisions as big as trading up to number 1? How do you go from someone that you are trusting enough to help decide who you draft number 1, and then 10, 11 games later, you're so far out that you're moving on? I don't know how that happens. But then I look at the product on the field and go, the only chance this team has to be successful offensively is if they run a 17-play drive, avoid the critical errors, the critical mistakes for 17 straight plays. You go for it on 3 fourth downs, including one that was only possible by way of penalty. It made it a fourth and manageable to go for it on 4th down. And even then, how many times along that 17-play touchdown drive did it look sketchy? And only that was to get it to be a closer game against the Cowboys, who, by the way, dominated your home stadium and really held all the momentum. There's your door number 1 and door number 2. Only unlike to make a deal or whatever that what's it called? What does Wayne Brady host?
Let's make a deal.
Let's make a deal. Not to make a deal. It's to tell the truth and let's make a deal. It's not let's make a deal, right? It's not you don't know what's on this side and you don't know what's in the wallet and you don't know what's in the box or behind the door. You know what it is. On one side, you're starting over with very few resources. You've traded away so many picks. There are very few players on your roster that you want to build around. And you'd be bringing in somebody new trying to make a meal out of those groceries. On the other side is you keep the people in power that have gotten you to where you are right now. Let's go down the let's make a deal path. What they call them zonks?
Yeah, I think so.
When you go behind the door and there's like a literal donkey, or you go behind the door, right? It's a zonk or a zonk. Frank Reich spoke to the media today. Here he is on why there haven't been staff changes that he could make, meaning assistants.
I believe in our guys strongly. So players and coaches. And so, when it comes to players, you got 53 players. So sometimes you can, we're all one team. So one guy might play more, one guy might play less. But you believe in all those guys. And when it comes to the coaching staff, everybody you got one per position. So, feel great about the staff. We have to, we're always looking to get better, every coach, starting with me, finding ways to get better.
Find a lot of ways to get better. Whole bunch of them. Here's the thing, okay? Because I hear the mobs, and I think one of the only people that cover the team that in the opinion business. Obviously, there's plenty that cover the team in a beat reporting and factual business that wouldn't voice this type of opinion. But for those of us that talk about the team, I'm one of the only that I feel like is still split on, can you make this coaching staff work? Most seem to believe that there's no way it works. I look at it and say it like this. If you fire Frank Reich mid-season, year one, and you expect Bryce Young to make a giant leap going into year two, you aren't just saying that Frank Reich wasn't the right pick. You are saying he is an Urban Meyer level of bad NFL coach.
Yeah.
Because if I hear one more time, Bryce Young could be this. Look at how his stats compare to Trevor Lawrence's rookie year. I'm going, you don't understand. That was Urban Meyer level bad coaching.
And he got canned after 11 games or whatever it was.
That's my exact point. If you want to see those like the jump for the Jags from that team to the team that's under Doug Peterson, they're in the playoff picture now. They have a lot of players that they like. It wasn't just a jump because of the new guy. It was a jump because of how bad the previous guy was. Urban Meyer was a special level. There were accusations that he kicked a kicker. That's not a joke. There were accusations that he kicked the kicker. And you know many of the other accusations and allegations of Urban Meyer. Frank Reich is not that bad of a coach. There are so many things you have to fix in addition to the way the team is being coached and probably ahead of the priority list when it comes to where the to-do list should start. You need better players. You need better players. I've been using this analogy when describing my feelings towards Frank Reich. I don't think he's going to make the situation worse if you just let him ride this out. Now, I'm not positive he's going to make it better because I haven't seen a ton of improvement in many places this year, but I'm not sure he's going to make it worse, right? It's the coach going to the trainer after hearing a player hurt themselves and saying, if I play him, will he make it worse? Will it do more damage? Will it make the recovery longer? And they can go, no, right? It won't do anything worse. Might not help, might be painful, but it won't do anything worse. That's what I'm looking at. I don't think he's going to do anything worse, which is a heck of a terrible way to be reinforced in your job. I don't think you're going to make it worse, so we're going to let you do your thing. But that's where it stands right now. How about this? Ready? What's the defense of Bryce Young? Offensive line isn't good enough. Receivers aren't getting open, right?
Scheme is pretty lame.
Well, how about we start looking at that for Frank? Offensive line isn't good enough. Receivers can't get open. Rookie quarterback. Okay, no, maybe, Greg Olsen, right? Panther legend. He was on the call, the broadcast. He was the color commentator for the game. And he was saying, I don't even know how you evaluate Bryce Young with all of the problems around here. Depending how involved Frank Reich was in putting together the roster, right? If Fitterer was going, I'll take your opinion, but then I'm making all the decisions, and he didn't always align with Frank Reich, then Frank Reich, it's like, how do you evaluate him with that roster? It's a rock and a hard place. If you want him gone, I get it. If you recognize that opens a whole other can of worms and problems, I get that too.